Hi, it's Chris from Stamp Blessings, and I'm here today on a Wednesday. So I'm going to call it my Wacky Wednesday instead of my Monday motivation. So normally I come in on a Monday, and some of you were here on Monday with me, and at the end of my video I just really wasn't happy with the card that I had made, and it bothered me throughout the evening, and then I ended up deleting it. But with some feedback from some of you, you guys said, hey, you can show us things that you're not happy with because it just shows that you're human or just like us. So anyway, I did delete it, and I'm going to try again to show you this fabulous mini Bendi card. And I got this idea from another close to my heart consultant. Her name is Gail Gross. She has a great video on YouTube also. Gail used one of our besties for one of her cards, and then she used the kitchen gnome for another card. So if you have either any of the gnomes from Close to My Heart, or you have one of those for bestie girls, those are really cute. I just looked at what I had in my stash, and so I decided to go with the penguins. Now I'm filming this on April 28th, so we have just a few more days left of our Stamptacular sale. Our stamps with matching thin cuts are on sale right now. So if you aren't, if you haven't, tried Close to My Heart before, you're on the fence, this is a great time to try it. If you are like some of us and your wish list is longer than your budget, this is also a good time to check us out because the stamps alone are really discounted, and even the stamps with matching thin cuts. So if you don't like to fussy cut, like this here, I ended up just using the matching dies. It was so easy to do. And I'm going to just take a moment to show you how great this card looks standing up, because you really don't get the impression right now. So bear with me for just a second as I move my camera. I'm going to get it set up, and I can't wait to show you how cute it is. So I have to unhook this, so you might hear some snapping. There we go. But here we go. Here is my work desk, and here's the Bendi card. So you can see really how cute it is. This card that I'm going to teach you how to make today is super easy. It's a fun fold that you won't regret making. Lately, I've made a couple of fun folds that after I made them, I scratched my head and I thought, who would I send this to? Or why is this even better than just sending a regular card? But this fun fold card is something that your recipient will keep on their bookshelf, will leave on their desk, maybe on their fire mantle. They're going to keep it for a long time. So you can see how cute that is. All right, so I'm going to go back to my overhead position. Give me one more second fiddling with the phone, but I think I can do it. I'm gonna just stay calm, right? So here we go. I am by no means a professional, so I'm grateful for all of you that do come to watch to see what I have to show you. All right, so if you're just joining me now, I'd love it if you'd leave an emoji, leave a comment below. I do come back and respond to all your comments. And after the video, I'll also be posting the measurements. So don't worry about rushing to write down the sizes of each cut. I'll go ahead and let you know and where to score it. But so just kind of relax and enjoy what I have to show you. So for my first card, I have been really playing with Close to My Heart's Garden or Daisy Meadows card making kit, and they have this wonderful thin cut die that's part of the kit, and I just love this gate. And I started to think, well, I don't have the gnomes or the besties, but I do have this older stamp of the month. It was called For My Beautiful Friend, and a lot of people bought her. She was a super popular this was a super popular stamp set, so you might have something like this in your stash. I did go ahead and I pre-colored her, And I just thought she would be so pretty coming out from, you know, in front of this gate. And then from the same stamp set of the gate, the Daisy Meadows card making kit, is this cute little tag, die cut, and then some great little sentiments. So if you have a gardening friend, that set is for you. So let's talk about card measurements. I'll set aside the pieces. The card base for the Bendi card is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So that's as big as it gets. It's going to fit perfectly inside your envelope, and that's what makes this a great fun fold. The second piece you need that really makes it work is this flap, and this flap measures 1 3/4 by 6 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are the two basic sizes that you need. You'll also need some little clips because we're going to be doing some gluing, and you want it to hold in place and stay right where it belongs. The other thing you can do is what I did here is I cut a second layer of the same colored cardstock. This has a little bit of an edge, and this piece is 5 1/2. So that's going to end up being on the front of the card, and I'll show you how that's going to work in just a minute. So I'll set my card base aside, and I'll set that other panel, and I'll get my scoreboard because we have to do some quick scoring here. So for the flap that measures 6 inches, in the end it needs to be 5 1/2. So I'll line it up on my scoreboard, and for me it's easy to do 1/4 inch on this side and 1/4 inch on this side. Some people feel more comfortable just always working in the corner, and they'll score one time, flip their paper around, and score the second time. But my scoreboard is marked every 1/8 of an inch, so it's really great. I'm going to go ahead and fold that right away, and I fold against the score, so I fold against it, and then I'm just going to use my bone folder to go ahead and really score it well because I want it to lay flat. And I'll do that on both sides. I have one more piece to score. And that's the back panel because I want that card to fold in half. So I'll take my card base, again, it's just 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I find the middle, which for me is 2 3/4, and I'm just gonna go ahead and score it well. And I'll just go ahead and double. Now for me, I don't know if you know this, but close to my heart has two-sided cardstock. So this side is a little bit lighter. So I have to decide which side do I want to show. And I think I'm gonna go with the darker, and that'll allow me to write my message on the back. So I'm done with my scoreboard for now, and I'm gonna set it aside. And again, don't worry if you didn't get the measurements. I'll be adding those after the fact, so I'll leave them with the video. So now comes the not so tricky part, but now is when you want to attach. And so I like to use a little glue. If you have red liner tape, that'll work fine too, but I'm just going to leave a fine bead there and a fine bead here. And I probably should have just made sure that my piece wasn't too long, but we'll find out in just a second. And I want to go ahead and slide it to the very bottom. So, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clip this side in so that it's going to dry in the right spot. I've got the edges and the corners matched up. The glue lets me fiddle with it for just a second. These are close to my heart papers. Now this is julep and it's retired, but it's a nice green. I do have my paper cutter because I don't know if you can tell, but wouldn't you know, my panel is just a snitch too long. So today I am ready to just be calm and see how things work out. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that panel in here. This is a fun little paper cutter from Close to My Heart. It's for photos, but I find it handy to keep on my desk and just to make a quick trim. So if you have a small card, it's perfect. All right, and so now I'm going to line up my base, and I'll go ahead and I'll clip it now on the, oops, excuse me, on the other side. And so while that is drying, I can now start to pre-plan how I want my card. So let's see, I know I have the gate, and that's going to be in the background. I probably should have glued that gate on before, but because this is a little bit flexible, I'll be able to move that. And I want this to go here, and then she can be on any side of the fold because this card lays flat, so when the fold is up, it won't affect where she is. So I don't have to worry about where the fold is. And I do want my sentiment. I'm going to work on the sentiment real quick, and I do have some foam tape. So again, if you are joining me, I'd love to know where you're watching from. This is not my usual time. I usually pop in on a Wednesday if you're watching me on Facebook. And I am going to post this video then to YouTube to share, because I found out a couple of friends don't have access to Facebook. And so I don't want them to miss out on this great tutorial. So I'm going to put that there. And this is still gluing nicely. So let's see. It comes together pretty quick. I'm going to just take a peek and see. Yeah, it's already holding. So I can go ahead and unclip that. And I'll add just a little bit glue to this gate. Today on my blog, I shared a card using this gate because I did do a Monday motivation using the gate and showed how to take the gate and turn it into also a fence. And I made the most beautiful birthday card for my sister with some vegetables all piled up around the fence line. So it's really pretty. All right, so I have some glue on there, and I'm gonna just carefully try and tuck. I do have to be careful of the fold, so again, I should have done this ahead of time, but it looks like it's gonna work out fine. And I didn't put any glue on the top of those fence lines, so that way if I push down a little bit, I'm not gonna have any glue. But it's showing enough so that you'll know that that is a gate. All right, and this next piece, this trim piece measures 5.5 in length. So if you remember, this panel was actually 6 inches, and then I scored it 1/4 inch. But for my decorative panel, I only need to make it 5.5 to match the card front. I'm going to go ahead and put a little tape on there. I found on Monday that I used a little bit too much glue, and that left me a little bit unhappy because I'm just not, when glue shows wrinkles, it's just not very nice. And I'll show you on my penguin card what I'm talking about. So I really ended up having a lot of glue kind of wrinkled this back pattern here, and so we're going to talk about that in just a minute. My card is coming together nicely though. The next thing I need to do is just figure out where do I want to put her. Now I can't cover up the sentiment, so she's going to have to either be center or a little bit to the right. And I'm going to go ahead and start just prepping the card so I know how it looks when it's folded and open. And this gives me an idea. Now when you're gluing, make sure you're only gluing the bottom half. On my card before, wouldn't you know, I ended up accidentally putting some glue back here, and then I had to wipe it. I think I want her just covering the fence a little bit. So I'm going to add some glue to the bottom of her legs. And even though you can see the back is not very pretty, you're not going to see that on this card. And you know what? I think my gate wanted to shift. That's one thing about the glue. So, and I could go ahead and paper clip her on just for a minute. If I wanted to get really extravagant, I could take some of these images here, and I could have stamped them along the border for a continuing, or I could have stamped some grass or some extra flowers. They could even be sticking up around her. But for right now, I think this is just what I want for her. And I could always go back in later and add a cloud or anything that I want to add once she's dry and in place. Let's set her aside for a minute and work on my next card. So the card we just did was really simple. It was solid cardstock, not too many layers. But now I want to show you how I did my penguin card. And so in anticipation, I've pre-stamped some different sentiments. I stamped a couch and a cat and this cute dog. These two images are from our Close to My Heart's COVID line of stamp sets that are available for 2 more days. They were a special release, and they just released them, re-released them during this sale. They're at their lowest price yet. I think they're like $12.25 a stamp set. So if you missed these, there are 3 more in this series. This one is called On Repeat. I loved it for the little coronavirus and this cat and the dog. I love this sentiment, not today, Corona. I made cards for all our staff at school, so 75 cards when we went back to school, and people still have it up on their desk now. This one is called Through Thick and Thin. It's got a really cute hand soap, of course, toilet paper, and some great sentiments like we're on a roll, there's no one I'd rather be quarantined with, hello, is it me you're looking for? I totally share my TP with you. And then I like this one, Spread Joy, Not Germs. So that's where I got some of these images from. And then there's one more that we just had come out. And that is called In This Together. And this one, I don't know that it's still available. But anyway, keep your eyes peeled. Whenever we have a sale, they tend to come back. All right, so there are my pieces. I'm going to try stamping one more thought that I had, but we're going to do that in just a minute. Let's talk about the card. So again, my card base is a standard card size. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. If you want a decorative panel, it's just taking 1/4 inch off, so you'll be at 4 and 5 1/4. So those are my 2 panels. Here is my flap. I'm sticking with white just to make it easy. It's 6 inches by 1 3/4. And my decorative flap, I just cut it a little bit smaller. That's where you can play with it, what you want that flap to look like. But again, this flap on the inside measures just 5 1/2 because it just has to go across the front. Now, when you're having 2 pieces, this is a little trickier for scoring. There's 2 schools of thought. You can either really plaster this top layer down and then score through both pieces. Now, if you do that, you want to make sure that A, you don't add too much glue like I did, but if you don't glue it well next to the score line, this top layer is going to want to lift. And I've had that happen before, and I just really wasn't that happy with it. So I prefer to score separately and then attach. So let's do that. So for this, my scoreboard again is super easy. It's marked all the way down to the 1/8. I'm going to score at the half mark, and for me, the half on a 5 1/2 piece is 2 3/4. So I'm just going to score that nicely. If yours isn't marked that well, what you could do is just kind of line this up and eyeball it so that you're thinking, okay, I know I need 1/8 inch here and 1/8 inch here. But for me, I can easily go and find that middle piece, and that is at 2 1/2. So if you have a 5 1/4 piece, you're going to score it at 2 1/2. Oh, you know what? I think you're going to score it right here at 5/8. All right, so again, don't worry about writing down these measurements. I will have them down after the video, and I'll have them down correctly. Here's a quick tip. If you score where you don't want to score, I just flip over the paper and I rub out the line a little bit. It won't be perfect, but most people won't even notice it. I can barely even see it now, and I surely can't see it on this side. So I am going to use some close to my heart glue. That it's a broad tip glue pen, and I think that that's going to work better than this aqua glue because this tends to come out really fast and wet. And for this here, I just want to avoid those bulges that I had before. I'm going to go around all the corners, across the top. I want to come down on either side of that seam so that it still lays nicely. And for this to activate, I just have to give it a quick push. You might be familiar with this type of glue. It's blue, and then when it dries clear. It comes out nice and it's not messy. All right, so I just wanted to show you that. And while I'm here, I'll just go ahead and line this up on my seam. And the seams are so easy to match. It's like I had done them together. And I'm gonna massage it. Perfect. So, and again, I can see that this is just a little bit longer, and I still have my trimmer here. This is a photo trimmer, but it works great for cardstock too. So I'm just gonna take off a little quick corner and make it flush. So we still have to score the flap. Let's do that real quick. This piece measured 6 inches. And I'm just going to measure in 1/4 inch on either side and then score it well. I like to fold against the score line. And then I just come in and I do that. And I want to go ahead and score this too. And I'll have to be careful because I did have that false score, but if I just run it there, kind of reinforce it, and my piece folds beautifully. So perfect. And again, I can take my bone folder and smooth out any unevenness, which is nice to get it while it's wet. All right, so while we're here, well, last time I glued everything in place, the flap, and then I thought, uh-oh, I shouldn't have done that. So let's go ahead and glue this decorative piece on first, and then we'll build the card. So I want to go ahead and add that on. This is some of Close to My Heart's mixed in paper pack. It's from earlier in the year, probably around winter time. I remember that blue panel was for winter. And what's nice about their mix-in packs is they pretty much go with any pattern that you buy. And it just helps extend your patterns. And they also work with the solids too. So if I had used wet glue, I would have been able to move that around a little bit, but I was able to get it just right. So I like that. I have a little bit here that I want to trim. So I've kind of thought about this card, but to be honest, I haven't really laid it out. And that's what's something I do on my videos, is I just do them live. And that's sometimes a scary thing for me to do, but I like to show you my thought process. It might be similar to yours, we'll see. So for this, I'm gonna lay it out. I know that basically I want to have the kitty on the couch, okay, and so I'll be gluing that kitty on there. I can do that right now. I'm not going to add too much, just around the base. Here it's okay to have the wet glue, and I don't want to cover up the words, but I want the pillows to show, so the tail is a little bit up, but that looks good. So I know I want the kitty on there. And the dog will be here, tucked in behind. And now I pre-did all these little sentiments. I have Thinking of You, which was a blank speech bubble, and I just found a sentiment that, you know, worked in there. And I cut out Miss Your Face. I was thinking kind of a hodgepodge. And then there's We've Got This. So I'm not sure that they'll all go. I just wanted to have a couple that I could do. You know what? I think this will fit there, and I can overlap these for a fun look. Again, I have to keep in mind of my score there. So maybe I could always have speech bubbles there. And then I really like this I am smiling, and I have an idea that I want to mask and see if that works. So this is where I'm going to be experimenting, and you'll see, does it work? So I have my stamp chamois because I'm going to be wiping off a little bit of ink, and this is wet. So it wipes ink off beautifully without leaving any fuzzes, which is always good to do. So I'm going to ink it up with intense black so that I can use markers. I'll set this aside here, and here's my scratch piece of paper. I like to lay my stamps on their back so that I can just come down. And then I'm going to carefully try, it says I am smiling, but I wanted to say keep smiling. And I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try and carefully dab off the ink from the I am. We'll see what happens. But that's how you can alter, and it worked out pretty good. There's a little bit there, but I'm going to write keep, so let's see if I can cover that up. First, I wanted to just add a little color to match the masks. I'm not going to color in the whole thing, but I am going to just give it a little bit of color. And then I brought in a marker. I could find a stamp set that says keep, but I'm going to go ahead and just write it to keep the font the same about. So this is going to say now keep smiling, and I could even add an exclamation mark. So that's how you can really change up the stamps that you have. If you're just joining me, I appreciate you coming in. I'm usually here on Mondays, but I wasn't happy with my last video. I just had wasn't happy with the card, and just was a little bit having some self-doubt, so I ended up deleting it, and I thought I'm gonna redo it. So I'm coming back with 2 new cards, and I'm really happy the way they are turning out. This is a mini Bendi card. It fits in a standard envelope, so it's just perfect for mailing, and they are so cute that I think the recipient will go ahead and keep this on their mantle for a long, long time. Not one of those cards that sadly goes in the trash. All right, so now I have my mask. So I could even put that there in the front, or I could even put it here in the back with him. And I think I actually like that the best. So now I can go ahead and assemble. So I do need my clips because I'm gonna start adding some glue. And the first thing I want to do is add the glue to the 2 1/4-inch folds. And this is where you want to take just a minute and make sure that you get your bottoms lined up and your sides. So I'll go ahead and shake that off. I'm going to just slide that down, make sure the glue is forgiving enough it moves. I'm going to clamp it on this side and that side. I'll go ahead, straighten it out, and there we go. So, and now I can just start adding my pieces as I want. Always make sure though that you do keep in mind that you do have that fold in the center. So last time I glued this on before I stuck my gate in, but this way I know where that dog can go. Move him over a little bit because I think I wanted that mask there. Keep moving him. That's why glue helps. Lets you move things around a little bit. Can tuck him under his ear. I like that. This cat, when I glue it on here, it doesn't matter that I don't have to worry about the fold because this piece bends. We'll check out the girl. She's dry now, and it doesn't matter where the fold is, so I can put anything on the fold anywhere because the card is going to lay flat for mailing. And this looks okay like this, but wait till we open it up. I think it's going to look a lot better. And I think I might come back and add some little flower die cuts in the back there. I think that would look pretty like a field. But I just wanted to show you that. The only thing you do have to remember when you're gluing on that front panel is that you don't want to glue too high, because then it'll stick to your back panel. So I want this couch to be right here. And then I have just some sentiments. I've been kind of flopping them back and forth, but I want to see what fits together. I did stamp some little hearts on there. And speech bubbles don't have to be straight up and down. They can go any direction. So I think I'm going to do that. And it can even be covered up a little bit by the image in front of it, because when it's opened up, then you'll be able to see everything. So, again. And in just a moment, I'll go ahead and put these 2 cards standing up. So if you're just joining me, you'll see how great this Bendi card is. So again, she will come back with a flower garden later. I'm going to let this dry while I set up my original card with these 2 penguins. They're perfect for a winter scene with this little snowflake background. So I have that. And we'll see if this one is dry enough to share it with you. It should be. They dry really quick. It came out cute. This is a good card. I'm glad things are starting to open up, but we're still not 100% back to normal. So I'm going to be careful as I open this up, because it is still a little bit wet. But now I'm going to change my camera angle, so just hang on with me for 1 second as I bring it down and show you all 3 of these cards standing up and ready to go. I think you're gonna love them. They're cute. And trying to get the phone off the hook. This is why I am not a professional. Whew. All right, here we go. So here is a tour of our 3 Bendi cards. Here's the one that we just finished. You can see it looked okay laying flat, but look at how cute it is now that it's put together. So I really like it. I think that I would keep this on my mantle. I'm not sure if I'm going to give that one away. We'll see. Here is the one that I started off with this video. You make the world a better place, so that's really cute. You could change the sentiment. And then here is our garden girl, who definitely needs some flowers behind her, but I just love that gate peeking out behind her and the sentiment popped up. And so I can just go back now and play with her a little bit. So I will come back and post the garden girl as a finished card for you later. And don't forget, I will post the measurements for all the pieces. But thanks for coming to watch me live, and leave some comments. Thanks. Bye.